No, it's...
This one's over.
Oh, yeah, we gotta start over. So go just click scene 7 and start again.
Okay.
Is there a way you can play this?
Where do I?
Check. I don't think...
It's right there. There we go. Sam's here. All right, should we go to the 3 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Darling, I'm Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and you're watching The Horror Show.
Hi, this is John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper. And you're watching The Horror Show.
Hello, darling. I'm Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and you're watching The Horror Show.
I actually had to have Cecil show me how to do that.
Boom. What's up, guys? Can y'all hear us? Everything good? Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm Producer Dave.
And we're here to do a movie review. Dave, slide over, son. Slide over. Yeah, well, not that far. Guys, we're here to talk about Black Panther. I know it's not a horror movie, so I'm not surprised that we're not going to have a huge audience, but we've been wanting to talk about it because we have been wanting to see it. So, hello everyone. Steven, can you hear us? Can everyone hear us good? Hello? Hello, hello. A little confirmation in the chat, please, would be good. But yeah, so let's talk about this. I mean, Dave and I actually just not only watched Black Panther, but a couple days beforehand watched Thor Ragnarok. Dave hadn't seen it, and I hadn't seen most of it because I fell asleep. Loud and clear. Thank you, Steven.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was sort of our follow-up to it. Thor Ragnarok set a pretty high bar though, but this one I'm surprised kind of at how well you reacted to it. Dave, what did you think about Black Panther?
Well, first of all, let's set the comparison to Thor aside.
Okay,
for the moment.
that's fair.
So I think I even said it. I think there's very few things that I didn't like about the film, and I thought they did a really good job telling me the story of Black Panther. And I've never read the comic, never done it. I'm the guy who's, why would I go see this movie? I like it. It's awesome.
The music and sound effects are a bit loud.
Where's that going? What happened there? Who added that?
I didn't.
That's weird.
All right. We're still working out this new live stream format, so.
Yeah, no, that's not it.
No, that should be it. The music. All right, so.
No,
that's it. That should be it, man.
All
right. Cool. We should be good now. So
sorry about that.
So there was very little you didn't like about the movie. That's fair. I enjoyed it as well. It had been so hyped at this point because it's been out for like over 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I just, it had such hype around it.
Yeah.
It being so popular, making so much money and getting so much lauding and everything like that.
I think we benefited from seeing it 3 weeks later in a very unpopulated theater with like, we could really concentrate on the film, not the hype train. So like the weekend we would have saw it, we probably would have been like, oh yeah, this is a really great movie and I can see why everybody's going to see it. But 3 weeks later I can be like, yeah, I can see why everybody went to see it. It was a really good movie.
Yeah.
It had very few flaws in my opinion. So
okay, all right. I'm gonna be hard pressed. Well, I mean, yeah, there weren't a lot of them in my opinion either. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to based on everything I had heard at this point.
Yeah.
But maybe that was why. Maybe it had been built up just too much and it couldn't live up to it. But there, well, I'll get into it. I'll get into it.
And I think there's enough of a superhero model now. We've seen enough Marvel movies that, like, okay, I'm on the roller coaster. I've seen a roller coaster before.
Well, and that's actually a fair follow-up
you know what I mean?
to what I was going to say.
That's the thing that I think I heard Kevin Smith talk about, that he's like, this is what I loved as a kid, was reading all these things, and now they're all in the whole same thing. You can watch them in 25 different movies, and I'm like, yeah, exactly. Like, you can just jump into any Marvel movie and say, hey, man, they're going to tell a really good story. It's Disney now. Don't forget, Disney does, they've got a formula for making good movies, content-wise. Like the overall film,
they do.
Not the details and all the other writing and all that other stuff, but the overall story always ends up being really good. And
well, that's actually a good segue because we after we talk about the overall story, the overall thoughts, we do talk about story, and so basically, all right, good night, Sam. But guys, this is the story. It's not really the origin story of Black Panther, but it kind of is a little bit. Because here's the thing. It picks up after what we saw in Civil War when T'Chaka, King T'Chaka of Wakanda, got blown up by the Winter Soldier. Or was that Scarlet Witch that did that one? I can't remember which it was.
Yeah, it was Winter Soldier.
It was Winter Soldier, okay. Yeah. Anyway, it picks up after that. With T'Challa, the son of T'Chaka, going back to Wakanda and sort of being crowned king, and so from then on, I suppose it is the origin story of Black Panther, because he does become the Black Panther, even though he was before in the other movie in Civil War.
We haven't seen the origin story of when he. Because the way I see it is, right, anybody can challenge the king to a physical fight. When the king gets old enough, someone has to fight for him.
At a particular ceremony, they can challenge him anyway.
Right. But what I'm saying is, like, someone has to fight for an older guy at some point. So when he has a son, his son becomes he has to fight somebody. So we have to just assume, much like in a lot of the comics with, there's all the different origins, whether it's Ra's al Ghul and the League of Shadows Batman, or the Joker Batman, you know, however you want to see an origin story, it doesn't really matter, because we're picking up when he's at the height of his powers. He's the king. His father just died. He just took over, and now he's getting challenged. Mm-hmm. This is his first big challenge. And someone said that they didn't see as much of a story for him, and I don't know if they've ever read history, but when you're a king of a country, the challenge isn't sometimes personal for you. The challenge is defeating an enemy, mm-hmm. and, you know, defending yourself and staying in power.
And managing a people.
The sequel will deal with what his weaknesses and flaws are, and what his vanity.
They had to introduce a lot in this movie, in other words. Yeah, exactly. So the lack of depth on T'Challa's story himself is fine. So yeah, that's the thing. So we just follow T'Challa as he's become the king of Wakanda, and he gets challenged by someone who may or may not be tied to the past of Wakanda or anything like that.
Are we not spoiling anything? I thought
no, we can. It's
3 weeks later.
But yeah, I mean, at this point, yeah, we'll not heavy spoilers, but
Zemo.
But yeah, essentially, Michael B. Jordan plays Killmonger, and Killmonger is essentially the son of the
brother.
King T'Chaka's brother, right?
Yeah,
who had fled to America, Oakland, only, no less. So definitely a big change from.
Well, that was a great opening to the film, I thought, because even though it was 1992, you didn't know who was going to pull off that mask, and it was really cool to see a superhero Marvel universe. I don't know. I just thought it was really neat, and the way they did it was really cool. So I thought that was a great opening.
But yeah, I mean, that's the story by and large. It's T'Challa having to accept the challenge, or deal with the threat that is Killmonger, and it ended up being. I'll say this: it was an absolutely beautiful, beautiful movie. The cinematography was great.
Yeah.
The production design, the costume design,
yeah,
all of it
5 stars.
was gorgeous beyond belief. Like it was really amazing. And that's 5 out of 5.
Right? Yeah, you
not
can't
5 out of 10.
No, yeah, you can't. Sometimes with these big budget movies, you can never fault some of the production design stuff. Like it's just a way beyond. You're like, oh yeah, that could win the Academy Award for that.
Absolutely.
So
this absolutely, I think, could be nominated for an Academy Award next year for production design.
Oh yeah.
Because God damn, it was
so
cool.
Good. And
they
got the actors to play the characters that fit the costumes.
But here's the thing. Here's what I wasn't even considering when I mentioned the production design. I wasn't even considering the vibranium laced aspect of the place, like
that was
all
so
of that,
cool.
The futuristic structures that are all built upon this super precious material. You can't even call it a metal because they use it for so many different things, and it's that
an element.
aspect.
It's an element.
Exactly.
It's an element that has weaved its way into the fabric of the very earth that it resides in. And this is the people who discovered it. The 5 tribes who fight at first over the vibranium, and then they come to a king with the Black Panther who holds them together and keeps them strong. So that also, we'll get to that, but anyway, we'll continue with the story.
By the way, hi to Tyler Comack. Jeff Floyd is here. Sandra Wilbrenner is here. Ben Grimm is here. Just wanted to say hi. Reader in Black just joined us as well. What's up, everyone? Let's see. Killmonger makes it more Shakespearean, not unlike Aquaman and his half-brother Orm / Ocean Master. I agree, Steven. I love that we saw Orm in the Justice League movie. I don't know how many people caught that. DC fans know who he was. Everyone else saw him but didn't know the significance.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is, I love that sort of stuff. Killmonger, his story was Shakespearean. And that is the thing. A lot of people have really talked about how Killmonger was the best Marvel horror. See, I'm so used to talking about the best Marvel villain in a long time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, and I
would agree with that, except for the fact that he didn't even come in until like 35, 40 minutes into the movie. So that
technically he was in the opening scene. We just didn't know.
No, not really. I mean, I know what you're saying, but we didn't get full on who the threat really was in the movie. Like they sort of bait and switch you with the whole claw thing, which is cool.
Well,
speaking of which, this is actually a pretty good segue into the acting.
No, before we go to the acting, let
Okay.
me make my one point about the story.
Okay,
and it'll tie in perfectly with what you just said.
Go ahead.
The very beginning of the film, there is a death, it's not a murder, but it could be conceived as a murder. It's a death. You know, when someone kills somebody, it's a death. And so whether they were defending someone or they could have held back, right? Mm-hmm. Black Panther kills someone at the beginning of the film.
Yep.
And that's what the film is about. It's about that story coming to a resolution.
Well,
that's
you don't know that's what happens at the beginning of the film.
I know, but it's laid out there right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, people who say there's no story, that's the story. It's right in the first 10 minutes. It tells you, this happens. You don't even think about this little kid whose dead father is up here now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just not even associated. He just looks up and sees a spaceship flying away.
Yeah.
So you don't even really think about it. You're like, oh, who really thinks about some black kid's kid?
So your point
That's
is
my
writing,
point, is
good
that
writing?
It's beautiful writing, and the people who aren't getting it haven't been without a father type. You know what I'm saying? Like,
who's not getting it though?
I don't know. I don't know.
You see how much money it's made?
I know
getting
who's getting it. I know who's. I also kind of have an idea who's not getting it. So that's my point.
Are you trying to say
it was very intelligently written?
It made all this money because it's a story about fathers, and it's largely popular with a crowd that has largely absentee fathers. Is that what you're trying to say, Dave?
Not necessarily, but yeah, there's a subtext to that. Mm-hmm. There is a subtext to that for people who don't understand that. They're not used to that in a story. They're used to the girl and the blah 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 or whatever. It's
right.
You know, it's very rarely. I can't put myself in that person's shoes. It's always, you know, I don't know. That's one of the things I really liked about it. Anyway, but that was my point about the story.
Okay. Well, look, and I thought the story played out well. I thought that certain beats were done very well. Certain beats could have been done better.
Right.
But overall, it was a satisfying story.
Yes.
So that's the most.
Well,
here's the thing.
Yeah.
It was predictable but satisfying.
Yeah.
It was predictable. I mean, it's most of these Marvel movies kind of are after a fashion. You know,
I am kind of used to the Batman model where the good guy doesn't kill the bad guy, like, just doesn't happen. The bad guy somehow always gets captured, and that's it. So I like when they alter it up with, like, Punisher and, you know, who's the other Marvel guy? Deadpool. Mm-hmm. So you know, for the bad guy to die at the end, you know, spoiler.
You
Sorry,
okay?
we're reading comments.
You okay?
Yeah.
I know. Stop reading comments. Finish your point. This is when I read the comments.
Yeah, I really liked that the way that they ended the film, as far as the story goes. Yeah.
I actually, Adam David, I thought this movie was whatever, way overhyped. See, Adam, I made actually the same point not too long ago. I thought it was too overhyped for me as well. I was waiting for all this, like, amazing shit that people were, like, glowing over how amazing the movie was. And there were aspects that did have that. Again, you know, the culture of it.
Yeah.
The culture of the film was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, that's really cool, and that's stuff you don't see a spotlight shown on that often. So that aspect of it is great. But as a movie, as an overall, how entertaining was it for me? Like, there's parts of it that I was, like, vastly impressed with, but was I entertained by it?
Yeah.
Not as much as I was hoping I would be.
Did you want to get up and, like, not watch it anymore?
No, of course not. No, of course not. And it's definitely better than some Marvel movies.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not top 5, probably not top 7. It probably rounds out the top 10 for me of Marvel movies at this point.
Yeah.
Because, you know, or maybe not even. Like, I don't know. It was just okay to me, but there were aspects of it that I really, really loved.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know quite how to reconcile that personally, but let's dive into the acting, because we've been beating around the bush about it. Now, I want to talk about something that someone was upset about. They thought that Ben Grimm says, I don't like what they did with Claw. And I loved Andy Serkis's Claw, but I don't like the fact that that's that at this point, you know? Again, as mild spoilers, guys. If you don't want to be, we're not going to spoil a lot, but mild ones.
Mild ones.
He wasn't the main villain. I mean, we've mentioned that. So, but I loved Andy Serkis getting to cut fucking loose as Andy Serkis. Yeah. The guy, if you guys didn't know, I don't know how many of you wouldn't know this, but the guy that played Claw, the New Zealand accented bad guy with the fake arm, the arm cannon. He is the same guy that played Gollum in the Lord of the Rings movies and the Hobbit movie. He also plays Caesar in, well, he was only in one of the 3 Hobbit movies, the first one. But he was also Caesar in all 3 Planet of the Apes, the new Planet of the Apes movies. He was King Kong in Peter Jackson's King Kong. Like, he is in so much shit, but not as himself. And he was really great as himself in this.
It was fun to watch.
He got to be really hammy, and I enjoyed the shit out of it. So, okay. All right, now let's continue with the acting. We'll finish the acting.
I love you,
then
people.
we'll move into everything else, and we'll touch on the comments in between each segment. How's that?
So
Michael B. Jordan, Killmonger.
Here's the thing. This is why I hate.
Good,
this is why I hate hype. Because the only thing I had heard about the film was how good he was. And then I watched it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he was good. But like, why was everybody saying he was?
Because so maybe he snarled in every shot that he talked, and he had these. I actually like that his
really relatable.
That was a cool fucking grill.
Yeah.
Just these two, like the lower canines were fucking yellow. I couldn't not look at that shit.
That was cool.
I was like, what is going on? Like, oh, and that whole thing with the Wakandans, like having that sort of secret elvish code on their inner lip is kind of, I was like, it's a little Lord of the Rings, but it's still kind of cool. I don't know.
Well, when we get into production design, we'll start talking about those little things.
Is that like the Wakandan gang sign? Like,
no, that's where they're. That's like when the cop comes up to them and they're like ID, and they're like, Wakanda forever. I'm sorry, the accent. That was
the wrong accent.
I'm sorry.
Wakanda forever, is it? Wakanda, yeah, Wakanda.
Okay, that was terrible.
That's great.
I did have my lip down. You heard that wrong. I said it right. Anyway, that was the other. That's my one mild thing that I have to get on about. And it's not just the Black Panther films, but to make these poor actors talk not only in the language of the country, but then to put on an accent as well, because they're talking to each other in English for our sake. That's why if they would be just talking to each other in their own language, and the whole film would be in subtitles. Or just let them talk English.
I liked it. It
makes it hard for me to understand.
It shows a level of intelligence.
I know, but it makes it hard to understand sometimes. I liked
it. I don't have an accent problem.
I got an accent problem.
I can understand most different accents. It's kind of weird. I always have
people say y'all even, and I'm like, wait, what?
I say y'all.
I know, and I'm like, huh?
I know it's the latent cowboy in me. All right, so let's see. There's a Black Panther theme song made for motion comic book series. It's a good song. Cool, Sam.
Black Panther.
All right, Steven has made a couple. Doesn't kill the bad guy, I don't have to save you, is what Batman said in the Dark Knight series, and I agree. I thought Batman Begins when he's like, I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you. I'm like, bullshit, that's killing him.
Yeah.
That's not what Batman does. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah,
we did mention it briefly.
And Cecil and I both agreed that Batman wouldn't have done that. So,
Sierra McCutcheon asked, did you guys like that they killed the bad guy?
Yeah.
I thought it was a fitting end.
I liked that, and I
liked how they did it.
He did, yeah.
Even
that would spoil it, but yeah, I liked how they did it.
But even the demise was beautiful.
Yeah.
Like even the demise was beautiful. Like I really dug how they did this movie. Like that's what honestly, the amount of times I've thought about / worried about the last image that's going to be seared in my brain as I shuffle off this mortal coil.
I didn't even think about that.
As far as that goes, the fact that T'Challa let him have that, he heard his story at the end, and then he's like, okay, listen, this is it. You've made your choice, but I can provide that for you for a kid that we left behind. I can provide that for you. And the fact that the last thing he gets to see is this mythical place that the only person he ever loved told him about.
Over Wakanda.
It's you had to ruin it.
Sorry.
I almost teared up, but now you fucked it.
I was about to. I had to do it myself.
You fucked it up.
It was such a beautiful film in the sense that a lot of people might not realize this, but it's very difficult for... It's easy to go, oh, I'm Irish, I'm, Eastern European, I'm blah, blah, blah. But, like, to really have this tie to a place is something that I think appeals to everyone, not just black people or whatever. I think the idea of having a home
like
where
Denai
you
Guerrera
and people
says,
and your family is,
too.
and that you could trace your lineage for hundreds of years or thousands of years. That's really appealing to, I think, anyone.
That's something that hasn't even been tackled in most mainstream films for other cultures.
Right.
I mean, no, that's not true. There's actually been a lot of Hispanic movies that have dealt with their cultural origins, and even things such as The Book of Life or Coco this past year. Really delving into the mythology behind certain Hispanic myths and things like that. Like I like that we're now getting movies that they're unabashedly unafraid to do things like this.
It's like maybe there was, I don't know, I don't understand it, but maybe there was a time when the rest of the world didn't interest America. I think of the rest of the world as always interest America because that's what America is. We're pieces of every country in the world live here and become us, and they have kids here, and then they look like me. And then one time I used to speak something else.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or not me, but,
Well, you did.
Yeah.
Another really white language, but yeah.
So what I'm saying is, like, my point being that the acting was the casting to this
we still only talked about two actors at this point.
But, like, the casting to this story has been, like, beautiful because it's like, this is what it's about. It's about the protection. It's the oldest story in the book. Right? It's the king story. The uncle, like Game of Thrones. I mean, come on. Like, there's another show on TV right now that's like, hey, this is basically the same sort of plot line. It's a fight for the throne of a land that's worth fighting for and a people that are worth fighting for. And I think that's what I really got out from all the actors. They like it. I believed in it.
The depth of the movie
made me believe in it.
The depth of the movie is great. And we found out, we listened to a couple of discussions about it on the way back from the movie, and it actually was very enlightening. Ryan Coogler, who also did Creed and Fruitvale Station, both of which I believe starred Michael B. Jordan. Like, he's a big Michael B. Jordan fan, and with good reason. But I
haven't seen Creed.
Creed is amazing. Really? You haven't seen it? Fuck, I'll loan it to you. It's so good. But he hired like a female production designer, a female costume. Like he really, like, this movie is a very feminist women power sort of, like the honor guard.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what they're called. The Dora something or other. They are an all female military force, and his King T'Challa's most trusted advisor is played by Denai Guerrera, who plays Michonne on The Walking Dead. But now she's a badass bald general of the water. And not only that, but it was awesome because Dave was watching, and I'm like, do you know who she is? And you're like, no, she looks familiar. And I'm like, that's Michonne. And he's like, oh, I see it now. And it's like, because Michonne has the dreads and she is completely bald. And they actually play on that a little bit. At one point, she fucking has to wear a wig. She fucking gets in a fight and throws it in a dude's face. Like, literally
moment.
throws.
It's
she's
a
like,
beautiful moment.
here's your fucking, here's your hundreds of years of women's history, men loving long hair, fucking thrown right back in your face. Like, that shit, but that was purposeful.
I know, but there's
that
also...
was purposeful.
There's also this thing, if you've ever watched World Star...
World Star!
If two black girls start fighting... One of them might lose some hair. It might just go flying.
More than some. Then one of them might lose all the hair.
But it was such a beautiful joke, but it was also part of her character. There were so many beautiful little things that that I really appreciated, even though I'm not black. So, there's a whole part of that. Like, you can't like this film, or like you can root for the black guy or the bad guy because you know you could get behind his story, and I think everybody can a little bit because it's like, yeah, share that technology, man. Let's have all.
Steven, am I wrong?
I want a hover scooter.
Steven, am I wrong, or would the Inhumans 12-issue arc written by Paul Jenkins and done by Jai Lee's art, would that not be the best like season of TV for Marvel to follow up like the Punisher and shit? It's this massive struggle for the throne amongst the Inhumans.
Yeah.
Like in their own fucking Atalan society. Anyway, Atalan is very Wakanda,
okay.
But it houses the Inhumans in the Marvel Universe.
Right.
So this movie was just done so well. Here's though, you know, okay, so Denai was good.
The
what about
bad
Lupita,
guy was great.
What about Lupita Nyong'o, the girl that played his love interest?
Yes.
Now, am I wrong? Audience, tell me, is
really
Lupita Nyong'o the little girl from Beasts of the Southern Wild? Isn't that her breakout role like 12 years ago?
That's an idea.
I'll look it up. Thank you. Steven agrees.
The
Beasts of the Southern Wild. That has to have been.
Yeah, that was a great.
That was her as the little girl, right?
Yeah. I have no idea.
I swear. And guys, tell me if I'm right. Okay, what was your favorite action scene? That's a good interlude question from Sierra McCutcheon. Sorry.
I think my favorite action scene...
I haven't, Sam. Email me. Tell me what Nimona is.
Oh, man. That's actually pretty tough.
I would not say the final fight.
But that includes the
well, it does. That's true. That's true. Well, but I didn't like a lot of aspects of it.
You know what? Here's what I thought.
I guess
there was
the car
never
chase.
Yeah.
See, maybe that's the thing. Here's what I was gonna say. I have just 2 complaints about this movie.
Okay.
Just 2.
We're still on the acting, though.
I know.
Okay.
I know. So I'm not. Okay. I haven't gotten to my complaints yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So acting. Overall, the cast.
Lupita Nyong'o was good, but what about black female Q?
Yeah, she was great.
She's awesome, right?
Black female Q.
And that's what she was. That's what she was.
BFQ.
BFQ.
Okay.
Whoa.
All right.
No, she was amazing. God, what was her name? We heard it in the review on the way back.
Yeah.
Sister. The sister of Black Panther.
But
here's the
other
thing.
Movies.
The idea was posited that if Iron Man should die in Infinity War, this girl, who is the tech genius, could very easily step into the Iron Woman role, because in the comics for like 2 years, Iron Man is coming back now, but it's been a black girl has been Iron Man, and she would be fantastic.
Well, why is Iron Man coming back now?
Because the Hulk and Iron Man both died in a big arc like 2 years ago, and now they're both coming back.
Future comics.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, sorry. Well, we also had, of course, Lazy Eye. What's his name?
It's not a lazy eye. It's a lazy eyelid.
Why do I want to say Fishburne? It's not Larry Fishburne. It's the other one.
Yeah, it's Lawrence Fishburne.
It's not Lawrence Fishburne.
No. I mean, yeah. No, it's Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest
Whitaker.
Damn it. Thank you.
Jesus. It's Chris Rock. No. It's Kevin Hart.
No, but you know what?
Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker did a good job. All right, let's move on from the acting. Let's talk about. You Whitakering me right now?
What?
All right, so
what's wrong with you?
Let's talk about the CG, the effects.
Well, he was great. He was great. Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker.
And he had a cool story.
He did. He was better in this than he was in Rogue One.
Okay. Okay. I'll just say okay with you there.
All right. So the CGI, though, I thought while it was good, it was over the top a lot of the time.
Oh, as usual. It's too enhanced nowadays.
More so.
It used to be...
The ships are moving too fast.
I know.
Am I wrong? But between this and Thor Ragnarok, are the fucking ships moving too fast? They're too big to, like, fire off screen that fast without burning everyone else on screen.
No.
Like...
Because they're moving through magnetic propulsion.
No, I don't... I disagree.
Yeah. No,
it doesn't feel right.
No, it's tech. It doesn't
feel right.
It's tech. You got to just go, it's tech.
It's tech.
It's tech. That's how fast they can do. But yeah, I agree that
Ooh, Sam, that sounds good.
They're enhancing. That used to be you would spend all this money to do a CG enhanced shot. So for example, in Jurassic Park, they built this giant T-Rex, and they spent all this money on the feet for the big shot. That's all they did, was to just made the feet. Like, because that's all they could afford. It was like a lot of money. And now every fucking shot has like enhanced CGI. They, instead of doing a matte painting, now they're building huge 3D cities.
And that's another thing. There was a lot of obvious green screen matte paintings in this. Well, like the Hereafter or whatever, the Panther world. That was obviously matte paintings.
Yeah, but that was beautiful, though.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was all beautiful. The special
and I actually loved the representation of all the past kings of Wakanda being panthers in a tree. Like, I'm like, that's fucking cool.
I swear to God, that's the only moment that they missed in this film. The only moment that they missed in this film is when they're flying back home. They should have had another person, like, in the ship with them who was watching Lion King and like that part came on, and they're like, turn that down. They're like, I love this movie.
I love it. I love this film.
That would be awesome. Anyway, yeah, there were definitely moments that harkened back to that sort of like, this is the story of ancient civilization.
All about how my life got flipped.
This is where all of us actually came from.
Sit right there.
You know what I'm
saying?
saying?
How I became the king of a town called Wakanda.
Wakanda forever, I say. You got Wakanda forever, I say.
Oh my God! All right, so now
the Wakanda's gotcha.
So that was one of my critiques. The other of my critiques doesn't have to do with a specific portion of the film.
Yeah,
it's that I come to Marvel movies for the big sort of, you know, spectacle that I'm not going to see anywhere else. And after 10 years of Marvel movies, this didn't have the spectacle outside of the Wakanda reveal.
Yeah,
did not have the spectacle.
Was this just another brick in the wall?
It was just another brick in the wall.
Yeah. So it was a beautiful brick.
It was a very gorgeous, multicolored, golden,
platinum brick,
golden laced brick.
But it's just a brick in the wall.
But it's just another brick in the wall. It did not start a new layer of the wall.
Maybe.
Maybe.
A little bit.
There was some stuff that was gorgeous to behold.
It's definitely going to stand out in the other bricks. It's definitely, it's got the most swagger of all the bricks.
But not because of
the
action set pieces or anything like that.
Well, that's the thing.
That's
what's beautiful about it in a way.
I don't know. You guys take this or leave this. I don't know if this is a criticism or a praise, frankly.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying that it wasn't the action that defined this movie.
Right.
It was the culture and the acting that defined this movie and the story.
Yeah.
It wasn't the other stuff, but I felt like we needed the other stuff that wasn't as prevalent. I felt like if they had as strong of set pieces as we got in Civil War, which granted that's hard to do because there's not a million heroes, but even certain, like there were, you could pick and choose some of the best action scenes from the Marvel movies past, and you would have blown away any of the action scenes in this one.
Right.
That's not to say the action scenes in this are bad. It's just to say that they're all stuff I've seen before.
Right.
Even rampaging rhinos don't really...
Well,
because we've seen Lord of the Rings where we've had rampaging fucking elephants and fucking...
There were elements in all the action sequences that were that were unique and amazing. But for as far as like, hey, we're gonna go from point A to point B while we're chasing this guy, you know, like that happens in a lot of action films. So how are you gonna do it to make it stand out? Well, we're gonna do a couple of really cool things during the sequence that you're gonna be like, oh, cool, when he fucking tilted the car with this fucking thing. He's like, whoa! You were supposed to go with me. Whoa! and then when she throws the spear, and then they're like, oh man, that part was great.
That part was really cool.
Sorry, I just had a little Wayne's World in me right now.
No, that was really cool though.
Yeah.
That again. So okay,
so
no,
they
that's
did beautiful
fair.
little
That's
details.
No,
throughout the entire film that made it
hints,
that brick of gold.
Flares of greatness in the not substandard, but in the average action scenes.
I might have just figured this out. The studio goes, we want a car chase, and he's like, oh fuck, I gotta do a car chase. I'll show you a car chase.
I'll show you.
I'm gonna have her sitting on the car. She's gonna throw a spear, and the fucking car's gonna.
That's
this,
and then he's gonna jump.
And then the studio's like, it's like, yeah, do all that.
Do that.
That's fine.
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, cool. So that's exactly, I think, what happened. I think I don't think it would have had a car chase otherwise. Like in the story of things, I think they would have skipped the car chase and gotten right back to the story. Because in a novel, let me tell you, in a novel, there's very rarely a car chase. You know what I mean? Like,
that's a good point.
I'm just saying, like,
that's a good point.
The car chase really translates way better on film than
that
it does.
is one of those universal truths that I don't think anyone ever considers.
I mean, there are car chases, and don't get me wrong, there's always, you know, and there's well-written car chases, but I'm just saying, like,
good old decaf Dave. All right, you talk about your favorite moment while I go have a shot.
Okay. I'll tell you one of my greatest disappointments.
Okay.
The audience is hearing it right now, I think. Do you guys hear that? You hear that fucking Panther roar? Why did we never hear that? Why didn't we see a little piece of tech that when he has that suit on, he could be like... Like, how fucking scary would that be if you're just some criminal in... I mean, I don't think Wakanda has criminals. Why would you be a criminal in Wakanda? You have the Black Panther. So, like, I don't know. I guess that makes the point. I thought that was my point. They didn't have any fucking cool Panther roars like this one.
Your point is that they didn't have any cool Panther roars.
Yeah. Like, that would be my least favorite moment.
How did you like
but my favorite...
the T'Challa and T'Chaka interaction in the post place?
In the post place?
Yeah, when they in the
post credits?
In the afterlife or the dream.
Oh, I loved not only okay. All right, so we're going to get back into the acting just for a half second. The the scene where they go take the flower to become Black Panther, they end up in a place where it's the afterlife. It's you know, heaven, whatever. It's a place where you can communicate with your ancestors, the place of the ancestors, I guess. And I think they showed it in a way that was very relatable to anybody. It's just a place, like it was his homeland, and so it's very easy to put yourself there, and it's very easy to, if you have a lost parent, to want to have a conversation with your lost parent and have them give you some wisdom from beyond the grave. And so, like a lot of freaking heroes, they have daddy issues. And for some reason, having daddy issues either makes you a hero or a slut. I don't know how it works, but I don't know the rules. Strong mothers, or I mean, I'm not Freud. But there's something beautiful to having a conversation with your dead ancestors, and the idea that, you know, they would literally bury him. It was very, I don't know. I've always been fascinated by my old culture, real culture. Dave, the Motor Spiegel from SNL. Now listen, pretty soon you're going to be living in a river down by Wakanda, but not in Wakanda, because they're going to kick you out for not having your. Well, his dad blew up. Yeah, his dad blew up. I live in a van down. You don't want me to live in a van down by the river. Oh, please.
I'm back.
Guess who's back?
Back again.
All right, so what did you think of the exact same thing?
My favorite moment... Well, I'm trying to think if there was a moment that made me cry. No, I didn't cry in this one, but I did like when he went back and confronted his dad and everyone else. And was like, you guys fucked up. You left this kid, and now we're dealing with it, but, you know, that's not who we are. And the fact that we've been hiding, because that's the that's like the cool thing about this. The conceit of this is that Wakanda is the most technologically advanced society on Earth, but none of us know it.
Right.
And they really lean into it. Like, I did like that aspect of the movie where this was the reveal to the world. This was at the end of Iron Man. This was the I am Iron Man moment. We got that at the end of this when they go on the press conference and they're like, we are Wakanda.
Yeah.
And then we got
the racist guy goes, hey, what can you do for us?
What can you do? You're a third world country. And then he just like smirks at him.
No, wait, we have to do it together.
All right,
he goes. It's great. It's great.
He just smirks.
It's great.
But it's awesome because it's like, their shit is so cool, and but that's not going to say that they're going to readily share vibranium, and it's going to, honestly, it's going to fold very well into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, except for the fact that we're about to lose a good number of the old guard of the Marvel Cinematic U. But that's the thing. We're going to get
Glorious
the
fashion.
new... After Infinity War, we're going to get a reboot, but that's going to leave it open for Iron Lass. And it's going to open and leave it
here's
open
what I'm gonna
for,
say.
like,
Here's what I'm
all
gonna
these
say
other Marvel
about the
properties.
Marvel
the
universe.
Fantastic Four
They
can
don't
finally
have to
come
do
back.
origin stories for any of the ones they've already done.
They
Don't
do. They
origin-
need to
no.
do Fantastic Four correctly. They haven't been able to do it right
No,
yet.
they don't. Just make them the Fantastic Four and start a movie.
That's
Cut
fair.
to the chase.
That's fair. Yeah, this time around, make it movie 2.
Cut to the chase. We know they have powers. Make them chase.
Oh, they love our T-shirts. Thank you, Jeff.
Why? This is the worst T-shirt
Wait, that
ever.
wasn't Jeff. Thank you, Sandra. Jeff said, beat me to it, Steven, except I wasn't going to say the theater. I got those confused.
Yes, the Panther tree.
The Panther tree.
No. Yes.
Well, the Panther
it was a
tree
dream.
was obviously...
He's in
yeah,
another
that's the
dimension,
thing. You can kind of get away with it because it's a dream sequence.
Yeah, he's
but,
in another
but
dimension.
I liked
They got
it.
glowy eyes.
I didn't like that it was like a beam me up Scotty from Panther to human. I thought it would have been cooler if the Panther actually morphed into the human quickly, but it was off camera.
It felt more like
What up, Dino? Good to see you. But yeah, no, I mean there was a lot to really like about the movie.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: I thought the final fight was lackluster.
Well,
I thought both final fights were lackluster. Like it was like it was like 3 charging rhinos.
Was it because the city wasn't getting destroyed and there wasn't 5 other guys
No.
fighting and like, you know what I mean? Like, was it
maybe,
because it wasn't Avengers?
Maybe it felt like it was low stakes.
Yeah.
You might be right. You might have nailed it.
That's probably why you felt that way because.
Well, but even the one-on-one fight
Yeah.
was a really weak one-on-one fight for Marvel movies.
Well,
with just a train going between them and like just having a couple of things
especially
here
like
and
a
there.
CG train.
Like that's it. Like
and they're both wearing
that
CG
was
suits
underwhelming for me. Yeah, the CG suits. That's where the CG just lost me.
I wonder if they cut stuff.
I don't know. It just felt like it
Or
should
they
have been a
didn't
much
do
more
stuff.
epic ending than we got. Like, and I get that it's like, yeah, you got the fight going on outside, but even that fight felt small. Like the whole of Wakanda
What
felt small to me.
What happened?
Well, no, the Wakanda city felt big, but whenever all of Wakanda was gathered, it felt so much smaller.
Yeah. Well, maybe that extra 10 minutes that we lacked in the finale fight sequence, we got somewhere at the 20 to 30 minute mark that was telling us more origin stuff about Wakanda. You know what I mean? Like, maybe they had to pad the beginning a little bit more. And it was still 2 hours and 15 minutes, so that's still a long movie.
Yeah, it was.
You know, so, and it did feel long at parts.
It did drag
I was
a little
thinking,
bit.
like,
Well,
when are they
the
wrapping
thing.
this up?
I don't know that I could
some
pinpoint
point?
a time that felt like it was dragging, but it did felt really slow. It did feel really slow.
Yeah, at certain parts, yeah, for sure.
No, I mean, not even at certain parts. It just felt like it was. I don't know that it felt more like it was taking its time, or that it was just plodding. You know what I mean?
I think it was bogged down with all this information that, like, okay, this is like what we just did. Cecil just upgraded his internet, right?
Yeah. By the way, that's why if you guys are you
hopefully-
guys getting a better picture than usual? Is it less like blinky and like blurry and stuff? Because
ready for my
I fucking
flash
tripled my
Mr.
internet
Mail.
speed because I'm tired of dealing with that shit.
Wakanda forever, I say.
That should be a fucking thing. Wakanda forever, I say.
No, it's Makanda forever, I say.
Makanda. Sandra Wilburn asks, director's cut? I don't know. I liked the ape guy. Okay, yeah, let's talk about that. There was the other tribe that again.
What have I seen him in? He's been in 3 other things that I've seen, and I'm like, he's always really good.
That tribe, though, dude, the production design for that tribe's area was again amazing. Yeah. Like the overcropping, oh my god.
Are we gonna talk a little bit? Okay. They got a guy with the disc. A green disc in his ears and his thing, and he's wearing this badass fucking
He's got this
suit.
green.
Oh my god!
Like Riddler and
I was
shit,
like, yeah, I've always wanted to see someone with like the old school.
He was like dapper,
tribal, but wearing like a modern
He's got
day.
this massive plate in his lip, like it's and the plate changes too. Like
Yeah,
he's got fashionable plates.
That's what I'm saying.
I was like,
It's
whoa,
fucking
they
cool.
do that? Like that's fucking that's
they were
cool.
Honoring the old ways and having and they lived
Sierra
in a modern.
McCutcheon says way better quality. Look, you lost weight, Cecil, looking great. Thank you, Sandra. I have been to the gym 18 out of the last 22 days. Actually, no, 18 out of the last 23 days because I'm skipping today because I've just had too much going on. But thank you. I'm working at it. way better quality. That's so awesome to know. Fuck.
So anyway, so the point being is that they got this huge they got all this story that they got to cram into 2 hours, and they're like, okay, we'll give you an extra 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, so they got to decide, like, are you going to tell more of what's her name? The guard. Can't even think of the Walking Dead name.
Oh, Denai Guerrera.
Denai Guerrera. You going to give more of her backstory because she's married or is in love with the border guard? So
yeah, played by the guy.
There's this beautiful moment
Daniel Kaluuya,
when he's fucking charging on the rhino, and he's like, "I'm gonna fuck your day up."
Did you recognize him from Get Out?
And she's like, "Oh, I love this rhino."
You know, he was the main guy from Get Out, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know it until I mentioned it afterwards. I was like, "Oh, that's why." I knew
I haven't seen Get Out, but I know that was him.
Oh,
and then his dad, I love.
Yeah, M'Baku. That's who you're talking about.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he was so good, dude. Yeah. And like that whole tribe was really cool, but. Yeah, that whole, like, are you done? Like,
he was the only... Okay, if we're going to get to one other thing that I...
Okay.
Look, I do expect Marvel films to have some humor in them. I did not laugh like I laughed in Thor. If we're going to compare it to Thor Ragnarok, I was laughing through Thor through the whole thing. But...
That was really well scripted.
There were funny moments, and he was one of the characters who, every time I saw him on screen, I'm like, oh, good, he's going to be...
Yeah, he was super good. Entertaining to watch. Like, that's the nice thing... By the way, how creepy is Horrific Harry completely in the dark except for his eyes and mouth? Like, that's fucked up. Like, look behind my shoulder, you guys. Look what's just sitting there waiting for you behind my shoulder. It's actually a teddy bear, but in that light... Why did you fuck it up? It looks so good.
I was just bringing him out for a second.
Yeah.
Going back into the darkness.
Oh my god, that's disturbing. All right, anyway, sorry, distractions. M'Baku was great, and again, all the tribes people were amazing.
He definitely added a lot of
Michael B. Jordan is basically going from Creed to this to Creed 2, so he's just like in the most fucking incredible shape a guy could ever possibly be in. And here's my introduction to Michael B. Jordan was Chronicle.
Oh, yeah.
I love Chronicle. He was the third friend in Chronicle, and he was so fucking good and so relatable, and like.
He
reminds me of the catalyst for the
young
fight.
Shawn Waynes who can act.
Yes. Honestly, when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, "Is Shawn Waynes back?"
No.
He looks like he looks like Shawn Waynes from The Sixth Man.
Yeah.
No, he looks like Shawn Waynes from The Sixth Man.
Yeah.
Like, and that's like fucking 15 years ago. I'm just really old. Like, it's crazy. 20 years ago is The Sixth Man, I think, at this point.
I think there were a lot of jokes that maybe I didn't get to. So I will say that.
Yes,
there might have been jokes
you're not wrong. I didn't laugh much
gotten.
either. There was some awkward forced humor that I just cringed at. I didn't feel like there was a lot of great humor either.
Yeah.
I thought the humor was in the interactions between T'Challa and the princess. Princess.
There were
like his sister.
I mean, it was like there were. It was it's a better word than humorous.
Yeah, he was also in Friday Night Lights. I never watched Friday Night Lights though. I watched the movie. Was he in the movie or the TV show? Sam or Ben? Ben, was he in the movie or TV show? So Friday Night Lights. Wait, who said Fazbear Flashback? God damn it! Don't tempt me. What are your thoughts on why such an average film catches on the way that it did? Okay, I'll tell you, Dino. It's because it caters to an extraordinarily underrepresented segment of society. Yeah. The black culture, they are super loyal and faithful to anything that represents them.
Well, I don't know about anything, but yeah, a lot of
stuff that represents them.
But it's rare.
Just like us horror fans are super loyal to horror stuff. They are so loyal and again, grossly underrepresented that when a film not only represents them cast-wise, but represents them culturally,
and
like
empowering,
and they have, they
have an Asgard.
And look, there's demographics, and I don't know that they have extra expendable income, but they might have extra time. They might have extra.
Well, look,
they just might be more passionate movie fans when they're finally represented. They just might be like, "Yo, let's all go. Let's like tell your friends, tell your mama, tell your grandma. Let's all fucking go and watch our society finally represented." Yeah. It's just the best kind of word of mouth that any film can get.
Yeah.
please go ahead.
And I was gonna say it's kind of like we were watching Fat Man on Batman, which I don't know if you guys watch, but he's like, I took my son out of school to take him to a superhero movie where he could go, hey, I could be that guy. Like when he goes to the Halloween store and looks for superhero costumes, he's got to pick between Hawkeye and like whatever. Like the point being that you got to have a way to relate to your main character, and for a lot of people, that's not represented in films that much, especially superhero films.
But it's beyond that.
Yeah.
It's beyond
You're always
just
a sidekick.
It's beyond just being a black superhero. Yeah. It's a black superhero that is so deeply rooted into that culture. They're fucking Africa.
Yeah.
And it's like the most like what film focuses on that?
Right.
It not any, because it's a third world country and it's just not that entertaining for people like us here in America to watch, because it feels like a drag.
Well,
and that's why those movies don't do that.
Yeah, but I would say it's not entertaining for mainstream
comedies that are set in America,
but there's plenty of people
Africa,
in America
don't do that well.
Yeah.
And it's not been focusing on the right thing.
Yeah.
Now we finally have it's like the blending. It's the perfect storm of pop culture event representing a minority, right? Because it's representing a huge segment of society that has gone largely underrepresented, and it's telling a great story spearheaded by a member of that culture, and it's a fucking superhero movie, which are the most popular thing in pop culture right now. It is literally the perfect storm of minority pop culture representation. Yeah. And so, of course, it has done as well as it has. If Deadpool was a black superhero, it would have fucking exploded.
Yeah.
Because that was a phenomenon in its own.
Yeah.
But Black Panther is just as much of a phenomenon, just for different reasons.
Yeah.
And so, like, whether you find the movie average or amazing or not good, if you happen to be that person,
it's a smart movie.
You have to respect what it does.
Yeah.
I think any intelligent person would respect what it does as a film.
Well, and you got to respect them for taking the chance, because that's why they don't make those films. It's because they've tried making them in the past and they didn't do well. So, it has to be supported not just by that audience, but by other audiences, and by making it a comic book movie, they got other people to go and see it, and it was great.
That's true, Ben. Yeah, now that Disney owns the X-Men properties, they can do a Storm Black Panther movie. Ooh. Storm and Black Panther got married in the comics.
Oh, and you know what they did?
For like 2 years.
I'm playing that Panther sound.
Wow. Romeo 315 says so delusional. All right, we might have a dissenter in the group, but that's fine.
It's okay.
That's fine. But yeah, guys, I mean, Black Panther was a very well-made movie.
Yeah.
And I respect it for what it did. It just didn't entertain me as much as I was hoping it would.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, if we had to rate it, I would give it... I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
I'd watch it on DVD again. I don't know if
DVD again?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd share it in the theater again.
What would your rating out of 10
buy it on DVD.
What would your rating out of 10 be?
That's my rating. I would probably...
That's not a rating. What is your number rating out of 10?
I hate fucking rating movies.
That's okay. What is your number rating out of 10? Under duress. Under protest. Tell me what it is. Be a pro. Under protest. If you had to give it a rating, it can be half points.
I'd give it a 9.87.
Would you really?
Yeah.
That high?
Yeah.
You found that little detractions.
Most movies get 9s from me.
Was there anything that bothered you like it bothered me?
Yeah, I had the accent thing, but that's just a general film thing.
The accent thing. So you took off 0.15 for that.
No, I took off a little half point for that. I mean, it's not. It's something that bothers me,
Blank
but wasn't.
Man.
It's something. If something.
Meteor Man.
Yeah. If something. Yeah.
I love Meteor Man.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the black superhero your little black child had to look up to. If you were Steve Martin growing up in the South.
Romeo, you're not wrong. Listen, Romeo, we don't disagree. Like, I didn't think it was horrible CGI. I think there were issues with the CGI at parts. It wasn't horrible CGI. I didn't think the dialogue was terrible. I actually didn't. I disagree with you there. Cringy jokes, yes. Slightly boring.
What are those?
Yeah, cringy joke.
What are those?
Cringy joke. Yes.
I
and
just fucking,
boring.
I was like,
no,
why?
That's fair. Romeo,
But
your
that's-
criticisms are fair. We don't disagree with all of them, but they are fair. They are absolutely fair. We're not delusional by any stretch. The what are those thing fucking rubbed me the wrong way, bro. It did. But I'm sure there was a huge segment of society that was like, oh shit, they finally did it in a big budget movie. What are those? And then all the fucking Logan and Jake Paulers out there were like, yeah, what are those? So
I know, but they're making fun of them. That's the whole point.
that
Is they're making fun of them.
You want to hope so.
They were making. Trust me, they're making fun of that motherfucker.
Spawn and Steel and Blade.
Yeah. Yeah, but all
I would
those
rate it
guys,
7
let's
out of
be
10, says
honest,
Sierra, under
every
duress.
single one of those
Under
guys
duress.
except for maybe Blank Man, maybe Meteor Man. Spawn and Blade aren't guys
I'm a
that
big
you want
fan
your
of
kids
Handyman.
to look up to.
Do you remember
like
Handyman
Thor.
from In Living Color?
Uh,
Never underestimate the power of the handicapped. And he'd
Yeah,
always fall out the
before
window.
political correctness happened.
That was awesome.
When humor was humor.
Damon
Oh,
Wayans
man.
is the shit.
Okay.
And then he did Blank Man.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought, I really liked it.
Bow chicka bow wow.
Really
More like
liked it.
T'Challa chicka bow wow. I
Joke
like
was
that.
so 2016, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really have a lot of things that bothered me. There was a little bit of the CGI that bothered me, so I can understand what you were saying. I wanted to jump on that. I read this whole review, or I heard somebody talking about it on YouTube, that all these Chinese reviews were like, it's too black, and people are like, oh,
No.
Chinese are racist. Well, the Chinese are racist,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Some of them. Jeez, come on. What are you doing? What are you trapping me into here?
okay. This is the whole point is that the beginning of the film was very dark. Like the first action sequence with the car chase. I was seriously.
No,
I was
very,
like,
very
It was very dark,
Darkly lit.
not black. It was
Darkly
too black.
lit.
It was too dark.
It was
is
too
what they
black.
meant to say. I
Too
think.
black.
Yeah, but it was really good overall. I don't have those sort
Here's
of
one
things.
problem I had. I didn't like that Daniel Kaluuya went from, bring Claw back to him saying, I didn't bring him back. And without asking any questions, he's like, fuck you. Now I'm completely against you. That's a bullshit motivation.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
thin.
especially-
That was thin as fuck.
especially the.
Yeah, don't lump a whole group, Dave. Chinese are racist. How dare you?
They know I'm joking. I said it in
They know.
Chinese.
There's 3 billion of them laughing right now.
Exactly.
That's 3 billion
Obviously, I was-
viewers Dave is shunning. I know. Shut up. What are you doing?
Well, it's not,
They have computers too.
No, I'm saying the Chinese.
They invent parts for them.
Chinese. The language is racist.
What?
The language itself is racist. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Do you speak Chinese?
Yes. No.
News to me. I've known you since you were 3. Were you taking the lessons before I knew you?
On my secret tips to China. No, but I think overall, it wasn't too terrible, the CGI that was used. I felt like it was.
No, it was just really obvious in a lot of parts.
Some parts.
Because it's just like
They
you
still
know
haven't
shit.
gotten the body
They
moving
do-
right through the air. They're always like.
No, it's not. It's gotten better, but the problem is that like even the train sequence, while it's pretty, it's like we know shit like that doesn't exist, so we know automatically, intrinsically that it's CG
Right. If you would have been on an actual train track
or something.
with real
yeah.
trains going through, killing
Or
people.
monorail
Yeah,
systems,
yeah.
or something like that we've
Alright.
seen that are just enhanced versions, like magnetic monorails. Like, that would be cool. Not these fucking light rails with these fucking, like things that come in and are like fucking streetlights but emit sound to keep it steady. It's like, no, you're overcomplicating it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Is the car chase better than John Wick 2? Fuck no.
No.
Fuck no.
John Wick's a different
They made
film.
your computer, said Sandra. The Chinese made your computer. That's
John
probably
Wick.
true.
John Wick 2 is a turn your brain off film.
Sierra
Yeah,
says,
this
for me,
isn't
it
a
was
turn your
just
brain off
ordinary. Great action, bad jokes, decent acting, decent villain, okay CGI. If we're using those metrics, I would say okay action, bad jokes, good acting, good villain, okay CGI.
I'm going to say great.
Great! Did you guys know that I voiced Tony the Tiger in the 80s?
No, really?
Absolutely not, because I would have been 0 to 10.
And you'd have some money, I think. Right?
Do not speak of the Baba Yaga here. John Wick! Do not speak of Baba Yaga.
Yeah. Okay, so can we segue a little bit into the Thor discussion now? Because I think people might... we just watched
Should
Thor.
we just fucking do a separate Thor review tomorrow?
No.
Why not?
Nah.
Why not?
Well, let me just talk about Panther and
we can
Thor.
invite Fuego in on it. All right, go ahead. Compare them.
I just wanted to say,
compare them.
In comparison,
compare them for fuck's sake.
Thor was a comedy, and this one was a really good one. Thor was funny. But
Thor was a comedy. This was a drama.
I think if you look back 20 years from now, people will be like, "Yeah, Black Panther was one of the ones you got to watch."
It's
Thor Ragnarok. That's funny, but it's not. It's.
Cecil slimming down. Keep it up, man. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. I actually was noticing that. If you look at me early on and I'm looking this way, it's because I'm checking me and I'm like, hey, I don't look super huge right now. I actually do look like I'm losing a little bit of weight. It's pretty cool.
Fat guy
in a little shirt. Yeah.
Fat guy. Look, even my T-shirt has a fat guy in a little shirt. I shouldn't have started doing.
All right, guys, we should don't do that. Yeah. Don't what? All right, so let's talk about the post-credit scenes. That's about the only thing we haven't talked about yet. So the first one, what was the first one?
I thought the first one could have been the end of the movie.
What was it?
Thank you. It was the UN speech.
The UN speech. Okay, I agree.
And he should have fucking said something.
He should have. He should have said,
smirked.
"I am Iron Man" at the end, because that's what the fucking thing was.
He should have said, "You want to know what I can fucking do? Black Panther, bitch!" Like seriously.
Yeah.
And then like jump through the ceiling. He could have done that. That would have been awesome. He's like, "What can I fucking do for you? I'll show you what I can do."
See, these people are already saying,
I like Thor better.
I like Thor better. I like
because
Thor better.
Thor was a comedy, and this was a drama/action film.
Well, Thor was a comedy with action, though. That fight between Thor and the Hulk was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
When
and
Thor
it,
pulls
and
the
it
hammer
was
out
funny.
Whacks him.
And it was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. They literally
and
had a
Jeff
laugh
Goldblum
every minute.
Uh-oh.
They really did. They were a laugh per minute.
Goldblum was great, dude. He was at his peak Goldblumiest.
Beautiful. That was genius casting on their part. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So it was much lighter. Even though Thor 3 had much higher stakes than any of the other Thor movies.
Guys, would you like us to do a separate Thor Ragnarok review tomorrow night?
Oh Jesus, I hate that.
You do not. You do not. Because we could do that. We could do that. Otherwise, we'll be back to do a lot of reviews. We've been watching stuff. David and I actually let's review the 4th season of Black Mirror
and Tag.
And Tag. We need to review Tag. That's true. Fuck,
who's seen Tag? That. Anybody?
Why did I forget about Tag?
Anybody? Well, it's very kind of forgettable.
But let's review the season 4 of Black Mirror too.
All right. I should watch season 1 through 3 at some point.
Tag. Yeah, but we already did those. Season 4. Okay. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for our review. Now that we're completely talking about other shit. That's going to do it for our review of Black Panther. Thank you very much for watching. I know we're very late on this, but we had a good time with it. Dave had a really good idea. We were out stuck driving because of my dumbass job. And Dave was like, well, why don't we do this? And I'm like, that's a fucking brilliant fucking idea. So we went and saw Black Panther. Yeah. It only cost us $6.50 a ticket. Like, that's a good way to do it, you know? And like, cheap. That was definitely worth $6.50.
Yeah.
Fucking for real. So, this was a fun movie.
In fact, I think I'm going to send him a little more. I feel bad now.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a great movie. Let us know in the comments down below if you're watching this later what you guys thought about it. Luckily, the comments from this are right over there, so if you are watching this later, you can see what everyone had to say. But thank you guys very much.
Adam David.
I'm glad you guys...
Adam David has asked us, do you guys cuddle together at night?
No.
Hey, Adam David, that's a great question. We have separate cuddling areas.
We have separate... We have separate sheets in the same bed.
What's a tag? What's tag?
What's tag? Tag? Okay, Ben, if you don't know what tag is and you have Netflix, look up Tag and watch the first 7 minutes of Tag.
Then
and
fast forward through the rest of the film.
No. If you watch, okay, you can, but watch at least the first 7 minutes of Tag. Any of you watching, look up Netflix. It's a foreign movie, but deal with it. Watch the first... Actually, you can watch the first 5 minutes. Watch the first 5 minutes of Tag and tell me you don't watch the rest. Thank you guys very... Tag is an Asian horror movie, yes. Thank you very much for watching.
Don't be racist.
We love you very much. We appreciate it. Let us know in the comments down below if you're watching later what you thought of Black Panther. We know it's not horror, but we appreciate you watching anyway. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
And I've been David Freeman.
Holy
Producer
shit,
Dave.
what? Wow.
Wakanda forever, I say.
Wakanda forever, is it?
I just want the people to know.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. We love you. And remember,
Stay
scared. I missed
no,
the button.